The Recon class in Battlefield 5 is one of the most used classes in the game by far. By having access to long-range weapons and a whole host of useful gadgets, it's easy to see why so many people tend to use this class. But there is a few tips here which can improve your game massively as a Recon player, so let's jump right into it. So the Recon class is the class that allows you to engage targets from those longer distances by giving you access to the long-range weapons such as bolt-action sniper rifles and semi-auto self-loading rifles, and also gives you some very useful gadgets which can really help out your team. So my very first tip here is to get used to a weapon before switching to a new one. When you use a weapon for say 10 minutes and then switch over to a new one, you've then practically learned off how one weapon works and performs, and then by switching to a new weapon so soon, your brain loses that newly gained muscle memory on how that weapon performs. Things such as bullet speed, how much you should lead your targets, and so on are things that do take a little bit of time to learn off for each and every weapon, and this is most important for the Recon class, as the snipers varies massively from each and every other sniper. So the most effective way of learning off and becoming a good Recon player with each and every sniper rifle is to play with one weapon solely for 2 or 3 rounds continuously, and then you can switch over to a new weapon. Now I know this can be quite boring from time to time, but it does help you massively in the long run. Also, don't change your scope too often either, as each scope will require you to lead on your targets more or less. So until you got a good grip on the weapon that you're using, stick with the one optic. After a little while of using the Recon class, you'll start to notice that most of the weapons have their downsides, whether it be bullet travel speed, bullet drop, reload time, whatever it is. You can head over to the weapon specializations menu and choose upgrades you want to equip to your rifle to help with its performance. There's a few that you should always go for no matter what rifle you're using, and a few that you really shouldn't waste your company coins on. So the first one you'll always want to go for is quick aim. This upgrade allows you to aim down your sights 33% faster, which is a really big help when you need to take out targets as fast as possible. The next one I recommend you go with is the custom stock, which gives you improved accuracy while moving, and this comes in really handy when you're in a sniper battle with somebody in the distance and you gotta keep moving or else you'll get taken out. So this upgrade really is a very big help with that. Now the next one I always recommend you go with no matter what is machined bolt for the bolt action rifles in the Recon class, giving your weapon a way faster rechambering speed, which is always a plus. And then lastly here for the self-loading rifles is the recoil buffer upgrade. All of these self-loading rifles do have some pretty bad vertical recoil, so this helps you stay on target much easier. Now, there is some upgrades that I really don't recommend you use. I would definitely stay away from the bayonet, as it is completely useless in Battlefield 5. I would also stay away from the variable zooming, as there really is no need to zero your weapon in this game. If you practice enough with that sniper rifle, you can learn off the bullet drop very quickly, so I would not recommend going with that upgrade. Next here we have the gadgets for the Recon class. Now there isn't a huge selection to choose from, but there are some that are definitely better than others. So for our first gadget spot here, you have the choice of either the spotting scope or the flare gun. Now if this were Battlefield 1, I would say hands down go with the flare gun, but seeing how ineffective they are in BF5, I recommend that you go with the spotting scope instead, as this is one of the very few ways that you can light up enemies on your minimap. So for our second gadget here, we have the AP mine, the spawn beacon, and lastly the sniper decoy, which you can forget about that. That thing is absolutely useless. So with the AP mines, they can come in handy, but they do a very small amount of damage to enemies, and even if an enemy walks over one on full health, it won't kill them straight away. So these really aren't worth using unless you use them as an indicator to enemy positions, but other than that, they really aren't worth using. Meanwhile, the spawn beacon is a very useful tool, as you can plant this down anywhere you want, and you and your squad can respawn on it as long as it is still active. So if you put this thing down on a flag and it gets captured, respawn on it, take it back. A very useful gadget indeed. A new feature of Battlefield 5 is the combat roles, which allows your class to excel at different tasks. And for the Recon class, there is currently 2 combat roles to choose from, both the Sniper and the Pathfinder. Firstly, the sniper combat role allows you to spot enemies once you've shot them, letting you see where they've moved after you've hit them. And then the other trait within this sniper role is the expert marksman trait, which means you can hold your breath for longer while aiming down sight. So overall, not a bad deal. And then for the other role here, the pathfinder, this allows you to spawn on spawn beacons which have been placed by somebody who isn't in your squad, which does give you a lot of maneuverability around the map. The other trait here is the Vanguard trait, which basically gives you more XP when somebody uses your spawn beacon, which isn't really all that useful. So when it comes to choosing a combat role, use one which is needed at the current time. If you're in a spawn trap, use the Pathfinder to give you and your squad more spawning options, and if you're just doing some normal sniping, I would say stay with the standard sniper role. Now for my final tip is to choose a secondary that contrasts the primary weapon that you're using. If the sniper rifle you're using has a very slow rechambering speed, go with a pistol that has a fast rate of fire, just in case an enemy decides to sneak up on you. And the same goes for a melee weapon, although I would always recommend you stick with the hatchet or the kukri melee weapons. So, there we have it. These recon tips have helped out a lot of people I know become a much better recon player overall. So make sure the next time you choose the recon class to use these tips and you'll become a far better player very, very quickly. If you want to see more tutorials and guide just like this, go ahead and hit the bell and subscribe icon to stay up to date with all of my most recent Battlefield content. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you in the next Battlefield video.